So what I realized is that a lot of people are not doing things in their life because of convention or somebody told them no, and what they only have to do is just try that thing, and they simply have to explore the stuff that are really kind of fun and good for you without listening to that convention. It's like really quite surprising in how much, even like if you look at political lines and stuff and what they're how things are sort of divided up, it's often that case is that you cannot, or people feel like you cannot do a certain thing, but really it's not that big of a deal. I'm going to give you what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about going out and taking cocaine and all that kind of stuff. This is not what I'm talking about at all. But what I'm talking about is like really simple things because of convention, like drinking a man drinking a Cosmo, or a female driving a dump truck, or a female really being into I don't know what's manly. Into football, I guess. I don't know. A man that's really into makeup. Like there's so many things that are like this that we limit ourselves, that we're like, that really don't have a strong basis, and we're so like wedded to these things. We get like angry and upset, and people get like all flustered, and they're really nothing if you think about it. They're really, really nothing. There's nothing to it, right? Like there is nothing, no basis behind it other than, people projecting their own insecurities onto other people. And it's honestly, it's sad if you think about how, that people live their lives, but not only live their lives in such anger and frustration, and they're upset all the time because of these like stupid arbitrary things, like really arbitrary things. But and on top of it, and this is the part that I get really, it's upsetting to see, but there's not much you can do. There's really not a heck of a lot that you could do. Is that they project onto other people, like their kids, for example, or they tell their kids, you can't do that thing because, what would people say? It's crazy. Honestly, it's crazy that people would live their lives that way, that they're afraid of what others will say instead of, thinking about, this is not that big of a deal. It's really, most things in life are really not that big of a deal. There's some things that are, right? Like cocaine, various different kinds of recreational drugs, drinking a lot of alcohol. Like we know definitively they're not great for you. That they're pretty harmful, right? Smoking cigarettes are pretty harmful. All these things are pretty harmful, but the most of it, it's really not that big of a deal in terms of what goes on. And yet we have these very almost we have these just very strong beliefs that people uphold, and they're really getting held back by it. And the other thing that you have to realize is that is you're not only being held back by these strong beliefs, but when people tell you, no, you can't do that thing, no, you shouldn't go do that thing, no, that's not good enough, no, I'm not going to do that, it really, for most people around you, you absorb it, and then you become afraid of the world, right? Like it becomes who you are, that you won't go do that thing, and yet you really want to go do that thing. You simply just have to go and try and explore and realize that it's really not that scary. It's really not that different than what you were thinking. Like in terms of perceived risks that we experience, right? So everybody sort of perceives risks in a different way, and that's kind of what I'm talking about in little ways, is that there is these perceptions of how dangerous and how scary the world is that we all have, right? And we all sort of see the world differently, and we have to realize that most things in this world are not as scary as you think they are. We tend to, our judgments of risk are so out of whack typically, really, really out of whack. If you watch the news is going to be, it's all negative. It's going to scare the bejeebus out of you. But at the same time, if you look at real concrete numbers, which most people don't, COVID-19 is a perfect example of this. If you just simply look at, 2% of anybody ever catches this thing is going to die from it. That's something that I'm going to take seriously. Am I going to take seriously that if I walk around, on the streets, I might get mugged because that's what the news is covering that day? No, because you look at the population in any particular place. Like, I live in a city, there's probably about 200,000 people that live here. On any given night, there is, I live in the United States, so if you don't live in the United States, you don't understand this. There's probably, 1 or 2 shootings a night. It's pretty craptacular, to be honest. Like, that is really bad. Like, in the rest of the world doesn't really understand this. However, is that going to, so if you think of the actual numbers of that, right? So 2 a night, that's 700 people out of 200,000 or so. I mean, it's really pretty minuscule. But then on top of it, you start looking, okay, let's cut it up into neighborhoods. There's certain neighborhoods, there's definitely certain neighborhoods I'm not going to at night in the city I live in, just because I want to make sure that I'm safe. But if it's a well lit up area, and it's 8 o'clock at night where it's just getting dark, I definitely would consider going for a walk, right? Like, that you have to sort of think about these kind of things in terms of the odds of something happening, and sort of really focusing on that. A lot of things are not as scary as you think as they are. And really what I'm talking about, more than these sort of scary things, right? I kind of got sidetracked, but more what I'm talking about is, that there's so many innovative things that you could do. There's so many cool things. Like, I don't know why people just don't, like, shoot the shit on, podcasts and stuff like that, or doing a YouTube show and just doing their thing, and just doing it and being okay with that, or having a little side project that's their thing. Maybe they knit or something like that, and they just sort of sell these things. Like, there's so many things that you just kind of like do just because I'm just gonna do it. Just because it's my thing, right? And it might not make any money, it might lose money, but it's your thing, it's your hobby, it's your thing, right? Like, and you have to realize that a lot of this stuff turns into, it can turn into something, right? Like, but it might take you a heck of a lot longer, and it is. But if you're doing it and it's enjoyable and you're having fun, why aren't you doing this, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense that you would be afraid of what other people are going to say and do, when it's really beneficial, and you're just kind of being afraid of what others are saying. And those people, all those people, I've done it so many times, I've done it for so long now, all of this kind of stuff, they're never going to be proud of you anyways, right? So why go to that? Go find a group of people that get it, Go find, like people that are just genuinely excited about doing interesting things, whatever you find interesting, and just go with that. Don't worry about those people that are looking at you sideways. They look at you sideways no matter what you do. They are carrying a lot of baggage. So that's what I wanted to say is go do interesting things. It's not as scary as you think it is. Look at the real numbers of this stuff and enjoy. Live your life.